Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Never thought I'd hear myself say that after helping Mindy Minx open some of her videos. But today you're stuck with me. If you don't know me, I'm Larry. I'll be going by Larry Linx. I am married to Mindy Minx. She's much better looking than I am. But she talked me into having my own channel. So this is it. If you don't know who I am, I'm a retired police officer. I was on the job for, I don't know, decades. But I'm done with that now. One of the things that I did while I worked was I took a lot of pictures. And cameras have always been kind of a hobby in taking pictures, so I'll give you a little bit of background into how I developed an eye for pictures and what type of camera I use and what I've used in the past. We'll get through some of that. And if you like it, I'll get into more detail with another video. One of my favorite movies is Beauty and the Beast, and one of the songs in that movie asks the question, how can a moment last forever? That's quite simple. You take something that looks like this and you take a picture, and it captures that picture, and that image can be yours for as long as you take care of it, which is really cool. I get to see pictures of my dad when he was young, and I think camera is one of the most amazing inventions made, and I've had a lot of them. So with that, they say, okay, we have a camera, how do you know what pictures to take? I kind of taught myself that, and I'll show you or tell you how. One of the things that I did, I was lucky to be able to travel a lot with my parents. My mom liked to travel. We'd go all over the place, see all kinds of historical places. First thing you do when you go to someplace famous, or first thing I did, I always wanted to hit the gift shop. They sold three things back in the day that helped me develop an eye for taking pictures. The first thing was postcards. You always had the best pictures were on the postcards. This particular postcard happens to be a terminal tower in Cleveland, Ohio. But one of the things that you learn by looking at postcards, number one is where did they go to get the picture? And number two is there's a lot of different versions. This one shows the building as it is. This one, if you go a block away and find the alley, you can use existing buildings to frame the focal point of your picture, which I thought was pretty cool, and I've done that a lot. Or you go across the street and you get a whole different perspective standing next to the old church looking at your original focus point, which was Terminal Tower. So postcards, those were a huge benefit in teaching me what to look for and how to take a picture. The second thing that a lot of gift shops had were these things, Viewmasters. You could go and find a packet that had probably 3 reels of, I don't know how many pictures, but you got the reel. They look like this. Put the reel in the viewer, hold it up to the light, and you could see it. So a lot of times you could see pictures of what the images look like that were going to be on the reel. I would check those out and see if I could find out where did they stand to take those pictures. Maybe I can take them with my camera. And the third thing was, I don't have a display to show you, but slides. A lot of people took slide images back in the day. I never took slide pictures, but they would sell slides, and they have like a light that they would put the packets of slides on, and you could see the pictures they took. I always tried to find where they took those pictures and mimic those. So that's kind of how I got my eye for finding the pictures and learning what to look for and things of that nature. Got my first camera way back in the 60s. I know some of you think that when I was little they had a little bird that used to do the image on the stone like in the Flintstones. They actually had cameras. Be quiet. The problem was when I got my first camera, you had to go to the store, you had to buy a roll of film. You had to open the film, take the roll out, put it in the camera, push the film across the thing, reel it onto another thing, put the camera back onto the camera to keep the light from coming in. You hope you did it right. Once you took the pictures, it was either 8, 12, or 16, I think, back in the day. You had to take the roll out of the camera without exposing it to light, take it to a place that would develop the pictures, wait a week, then pay for the pictures, and then hope you got good pictures. The cool thing about now is you don't have to deal with film. You can put an SD card in and take literally thousands of pictures. It doesn't cost you anything other than the initial cost for the SD card, and if you don't like the picture, you hit a button twice and it's gone, and then you can save the good ones. So no more film, not really any film. First camera, one of these things. Yeah, this is probably 50 years old. Actually, it's not a camera though, it's just a toy, but we'll put that away. I don't have my first camera because for me, when I got it, being 8, 9 years old, it was really hard for me to try and put the film in and get it right and not expose the film and do all that stuff. So it took a while. That one wasn't used a whole lot, but then I got the Kodak Instamatic X25. I think this is a 126 camera. It was pretty cool because when you wanted to load the film, it came in a little plastic cartridge. You took it out of the package, you put the cartridge in here, you close this, it automatically advanced to the next one. And this one was kind of cool because it's got this thing up on the top. When you took the picture, you'd have to advance the film to get the next space. This one, it did it automatic. So that was a pretty cool camera for, this is basically my first kind of camera that I was able to use on my own. So we had that, and then when I graduated from high school, I bought a Nikon. And a lot of people say, what kind of camera should I get? Should I get a good one? You should get a good camera. Nikon, Canon, that's like the two big ones. There's a bunch of other ones out there too. Kind of like Ford, Chevy, Walmart, Target. I've just always had Nikon. I'm a big fan of Nikon. I don't think I've ever had Canon cameras, but Mindy Minx, she uses a Canon camera and she gets great results. So I've just had the Nikon. This is an FM model. It's a 35 millimeter. It was kind of funny because this goes back to what I was saying, like the old days, where you had to get the film, put it in, shoot it. Hope you didn't expose it. This has been in here for decades, so I'm pretty sure it's shot. I didn't expose anything there, but there is actually film in here. But that was the Nikon FM 35 millimeter. I graduated from that to a digital camera, which was, I think, a Fuji, I think a 2.3 megapixel camera, 2.3 pixel, I don't know. It was, I don't have that here. That served me well for a couple years until I had a bit of an accident with it and it fell out of my pocket and went down about 3 levels of concrete and steel and hit the ground, and I saw pieces kind of scatter. Put it back together. It still worked, but just not the same results. So I graduated to, again, a Nikon, and this was a D40, and this I don't know how many thousands of pictures I took with this camera. It finally got to the point where it just wasn't going to be able to be serviceable anymore, and I went out and immediately bought a Nikon D5100. I also have a D3300, and then I got a Nikon Coolpix. I don't really care for the aim and shoot cameras. I like a camera that I can look through single lens and actually see the image that I'm going to take, opposed to looking at the back of a screen, because if it's very sunny, a lot of times you can't see that even if you put the brightness up a lot. With this, I even put that kind of a cover on that would help you see, but for the most part it was all looking through the lens. This is cool because at work, if I went into a building where there was a lot of water, a lot of moisture, if there was a fire there, I could take pictures. The water could run literally on the camera. I've been in pools and taken pictures with this. I've been in the ocean, and you can literally go pretty deep underwater and still get good pictures with this. So that is why I have this. And for the most part nowadays, if you have one of these, especially the one Mindy has. Hey Mink.
Yeah?
What's your what kind of phone do you have?
iPhone 11 Pro, I think.
iPhone 11 Pro. She uses that, This is the next step down from that model, and this takes really good pictures in low light and at night, whereas this camera is outstanding in the daytime and underwater, but sometimes in low light, not so good. And a lot of people ask me, well, what camera should I buy? I want to spend a lot of money so that I can get a camera and take great pictures. You can take great pictures with a camera that doesn't cost a lot of money. But here's the thing. If you buy a camera that does cost a lot of money, you're going to get a lot of different options to use. And some of the terms you're going to hear is f-stop, aperture, depth of field, white balance, ISO or ISO. You're going to hear focal length, bracketing, metering. You're going to hear all those things. And you're going to say, what is all that? Best thing I can tell you is look at camera shops, find somebody that knows their stuff. Pick their brain, tell them what you're looking forward to, tell them what your budget is, and go by what they recommend. And then once you get the camera, use it. Go out and have fun. Be safe, but take a lot of pictures. You can join clubs, you can go to community colleges, you can get all kinds of tips. You can go online and look. There's a lot of groups that you can join. One of the things that I like to do was there was a particular group you could go on a guided hike through the forest. Trying to think some of the other places. But what they did was, it was kind of cool. The cost of you going on the guided tour was you brought a garbage bag with you. And they would take you to all these scenic overlook places. They would take you to as close as you could get to the eagle's nest and see the eagles. But along the way, if you saw garbage, you stopped and picked it up, and that was what what you had to pay to do on go on a hike, was pick up the trash. And at the end, they had a big can, and everybody threw their bags in. You got some really good pictures. You had some fun. You got exercise. But at the end of the day, everybody threw their garbage where it belonged, and the place was a lot cleaner. So that was kind of cool. I enjoyed doing that. But there's a lot of different things, clubs you can join. I've never been in a camera club. Another thing you can do is maybe the state fair or county fair. There's a lot of people that do photography. They put their work on display, try and win a ribbon. See what kind of pictures they take. Go to the zoo. Buy a year pass at the zoo and go as many times as you can. If you don't get the picture you want, keep trying. If you get a picture, I was at the park one time, eagle came down, grabbed the fish out of the water, took off. I got about 6 pictures of that. They were all blurry. I was kind of disappointed the pictures didn't turn out. But then again, I was in a position where I got to see an eagle come down, grab a fish out of the water, and fly off with it. That was cool. So don't get upset if you missed the picture. Enjoy the moment that you got to see while you were trying to take the picture, and put yourself in a position where you can go back and maybe see something like that again. I have tried to photograph a full moon for probably the last 6 full moons. If you go to my Instagram page, you'll see some of the results that I've had, and I'm finally getting to where I think, okay, I took a good picture. But I think there's still room for improvement. But you don't have to have a great picture or a great camera to get good pictures. But if you get a camera with a lot of settings, it's kind of like having a toolbox filled with tools. You're not going to do an engine overhaul with a pair of pliers and a screwdriver. You're going to want a toolbox filled with stuff that you're going to need when you have to get to a certain point, and this is what's going to help you out. I took a camera class through the state of Ohio. It was a 2-week course. It was with cameras like this one that is auto nothing, so that you learn how to take pictures under certain conditions, certain things you can do with the settings to get the picture you want. At the end of the course, after we had taken all the pictures that we needed to satisfy the course, and then took the test to pass the course, the instructor gave us information to, the first thing we wanted to do was take our camera that was set to auto nothing, put it to the auto mode, and keep taking pictures. And somebody got frustrated and said, why did we just spend 2 weeks taking this class in order for you to tell us to put it back in auto mode? A lot of times there's certain conditions that will be in place where you want a particular picture and the auto just isn't going to do it. Go to the zoo and have a large animal behind a huge clear glass panel, and there's all the streaks and smears from the people touching the glass on our side, and there's mud smears and dirt and things that are smeared by the animal on the other side, and try and take an autofocus picture of that. This thing is going to go back and forth, and it's going to keep trying to focus on something, and it's not going to know what to do, and you're going to be burning battery. Learn how to put it in manual, get your settings, do the manual focus, and you'll get just as good pictures. And get something where it offers you a lot of choices with different size lenses, and again, that's something that your budget is going to tell you what you can and can't get, and how much you want to get involved with this, and what your goal is for this. So that's a lot of the stuff that I kind of wanted to touch on. A lot of things you can do too when you're learning is get a notebook, one of those little spiral things you put in your pocket. Take pictures, figure out what your f-stop was, do all that. I'm not going to get into all the different things that I've mentioned with regards to the different terms and f-stop and depth of field and all that stuff. I'm not a teacher. I have been taught. I do know how to do things. There's certain tricks I can show you if you're interested with painting with light, they call it, or the bulb setting. There's a lot of cool things you can do with that, and I can get into that and show you how to do it. It's easier to show you than try and explain it. Again, I'm not a teacher. There's a lot of safety tips that you should have when you're out doing photography. I can include some of those into another video. And just certain things you can do that when you're taking pictures, you kind of you have that uncle that takes the slide pictures, and he goes on vacation and comes back, and you get invited over to his house, and for 2.5 hours he's showing you 400 slides of the picture with the finger across it, and picture out the window of the car where he's doing 70 on the highway, and everything's kind of blurred, and you just wish it would end. I can give you tips on how to avoid all that kind of thing. So when you show your pictures, people are actually excited to see them, hopefully. So I think I have covered everything. And again, if you have a camera, something like this, I don't, this isn't something I use. This actually was Mindy's camera back in the day, and I've tried to use it, and it's not for me. But if you have it, it will take good pictures, and it's nice. You can put it in your pocket. Another thing that you want to consider when you're getting a camera is if you get something like this or a Canon, it's more than likely going to be what's called a proprietary battery. Nikon is going to make a specific battery for this camera. Canon's going to make a specific one for their camera, and it's not something where if it's on a weekend or if it's late at night and you're out having a party somewhere and you want to take pictures of the people at the party, or you're going to a sporting event or something, if your battery dies with one of these, you need the charger that comes with the camera to charge the battery. If you have something like, this is a Fine Pix made by Fuji. If you have something like this was my first digital camera that I used at work. It's a 6x optical zoom with 3.2 megapixels. Not great, but for what we needed it for, it was very good. And the nice part about this is, if the battery died, you could go to any gas station, and we had a bunch of them open 24 hours, all sold batteries. You could go to Walmart, open 24 hours. There was a lot of places you could go and say, I need 4 AA batteries. You could get the batteries, throw them in there, close it up, and you were ready to shoot for another hour, 2 hours, whatever it was. So figure out what kind of battery you're going to need. And anytime I ever got anything like this, I always got a second battery. You can be using one, it dies, you take it out, you put the fresh one in, you put the other one on a charger right away, and you can just keep rotating them, and you're always going to have good batteries. So if that happens, you have something that's charged, but just kind of put that in the back of your mind that if this thing goes and dies at the wrong time, where am I going to get a battery for it? something like this, you can put double A's in, and you always have double A batteries. So that's something else to consider. But other than that, I think I've covered just about everything. If you liked it, let me know. Actually, if you didn't like it, let me know. But comments down below. And thanks for joining me, and I will be back soon with some more stuff that I can yak about and you can listen about. Thanks. Bye! So first off, one of the things that I really love about cameras is, no, I'm going to cut. Done. You be quiet. Where did it go? Well, hang on. Right here.